A city is a stratified space in which the layered sediments of time are evident. Residents and visitors leave traces. Others follow them, gleaning these vestiges and leaving new traces in turn. It is often artists who look for such markings in the urban space and inscribe new ones, highlighting something that was there but not distinctly visible before their intervention. And they simultaneously change what was there. When something that was virtually imperceptible is brought to light, it is no longer the hidden trace it was. A prime example of such work is the oeuvre of the Belgian artist Francis Ellis, who has lived in Mexico City for many years and takes a particular interest in the diverse layers an eventful history has built up in this city. His interest is quite literally in leftovers, in what no one seems to need anymore and what therefore has no value. For example, he dragged a magnetic toy dog through the city for years that collected metal waste of all sorts. These leftovers tell stories about their erstwhile application, about habits, packaging design and the use of natural resources, and they coalesce into a new structure that acquires a value of its own. The man-made dog, meanwhile, recalls the real dogs that had used to be part of the cityscape before they were caught and killed in an effort to improve public hygiene. For his performance La Malinche, Ellis walked the city carrying a girl on his shoulders enshrouded in a large coat. The piece memorializes a founding figure of Mexico City that epitomized its conflicted colonial history. La Malinche was an indigenous woman who worked as a translator for the Spanish and eventually became Hernán Cortés' lover. While some see her as a beneficent and conciliatory figure, others regard her as a traitor. For his act Fairy Tales, Ellis wore a blue knit sweater that unraveled as he walked down the city streets, spinning a blue Ariadne's thread. So Ellis embedded a piece of himself in the urban space, imprinted his marks on it, which we now seek to decipher, as traces of his interests, needs and perceptions. Another artist, Bogomir Ecker, interferes with the urban scene in small and indeed almost imperceptible actions, leaving his own traces. Wherever he goes, he attaches little ears. Nearly invisible, they illustrate his listening to the city, but also the fact that others are listening as well. One is Never Alone was the ambiguous title of one of his exhibitions, a statement that suggests consolation as well as menace. With other artists, Ecker produced the Nachtstücke, or night pieces, for which they mounted fluorescent signage to manhole covers, on brownfields, in deserted streets, or on railway yards. Far from being public actions, these works went unobserved and survive only in photographic documentation. The city becomes a studio, a field for experimentation in which artistic intervention may be staged that, while virtually unrecognizable as such, alter the urban space by adding enigmatic and illegible signs. One way in which the quality of a new city is apparent is its openness to such sedimentation, to traces that will, later on, tell its history.